Okay, welcome to part 2. This is the third time actually recording this because I've had all sorts of things go wrong. First attempt, when I was outside, ran to 22 minutes. The last one on here, the sound was so low that you would have, had to have loads of noise on it to get people to hear it. Anyway, covering the whole 2.5 thing, which I know a lot of people have been curious about, and I haven't discussed in depth for a whole host of reasons. So, what happened with the 2.5? For those people new to the industry, basically Wayne went on a wacky one and started shouting a lot and saying lots of nasty things about pixologic, which should sort of explain why sort of some people are hesitant to show any support to any threads I start at ZBrush Central. There was all sorts of nasty stuff. You come with that, I'd probably say. Basically, I started shouting about the fact I thought I was basically being conned because it hadn't been released when they said it would. Now, I've got to quantify that with where I was as a person at the time. I'd been homeless for a considerable time, and I just managed to get myself back on my feet again. Now, if you've ever been homeless, which I hope you haven't, you'll know that it changes the way you think. You start to see ghosts where there are none, if you understand my meaning. You start thinking everybody's getting to you, and you don't basically take any shit if you think anybody's trying to get one over on you. You try and put a stop to it pretty fast, because if you're homeless, it can be the difference between not exactly life and death, but whether you eat or not. And that stays with you for a while. So I still had that mentality when I finally did get somewhere to live. And I had no carpets on the floor. I had a sofa that cost £5 from a second-hand shop. I had an ancient computer, a 600 Duron at the time, and one guitar. That's all I had in the world. I had electricity and gas. I had a cooker, no fridge, nothing. I was basically an empty house, but it was somewhere, it was mine. So I basically saw things the way I shouldn't have done, to be honest. I started seeing things that were non-fact as fact. I thought, well, if it's not out by now, then they must be doing it on purpose and, trying to get one over. It wasn't. It was actually, now you look at it from the other side, it's fairly obvious. Sky Matter were about to release Mudbox, and the word had been around the industry for quite a long time. I'd heard it about a year and a half, 2 years before it was released. Nobody else had heard of it at the time, I don't think. From a friend of mine who had been in that wetter a bit. And they'd obviously heard of it because they've got better contacts than, a lot of us have. And it was decided the best thing I'd imagine, I'm guessing here, is to keep things close, cards played close to your chest so that the opposition didn't find out what you're doing. So that they wouldn't be inspired by anything in the program. Somebody, the Sky Matter guys did the same thing, didn't they, with Mudbox? They started hyping it, but they wouldn't actually tell you what it was able to do, for about 6 months. Some of us already knew what it was going to do anyway, even without being beta testers, but I can see why they were doing it. Now, I really did go overboard with some of the stuff, and it was 99.9% of all posts I made. Apart from the initial Wayne Goes Crazy on ZBrush Central a year and a bit ago, whatever the hell it was. It was all on a forum on my own site, which has since been removed. It was removed from a year ago or something, because it was getting to the point where I was in with a couple of people at the time in the 3D world, and they weren't the most healthy people to be around. Very negative, and even by my angry standards at the time, they were going a bit overboard and saying things that were out of order. So I put a stop to all that, and I thought, well, I'll just shut up now. I've basically put my foot in it, and I realised towards the end that I'd said things that were way out of order. So when the time came to do I was offered the ZBrush discs for Curve Studios. I thought, well, I've got to bite the bullet here. Yeah, I've got the option of putting them out and not telling them, and basically sending them a cursory copy of it once they're out, but it's not very nice. So what I did is I thought, well, my late uncle used to always have a big saying, is it takes a big man to apologise and mean it. Now I did mean it, but it's never easy when you've done something that nasty and that bad to go to somebody and say, well look, I was actually in the wrong here. Because more chances than enough you're going to get bawled out. So I fully expect, I've told them what I've told you, but a lot more detailed version, a lot more information, to be honest, there's things that they need to know that you don't. Not something nasty, it's just some things are private. And I did say sorry, and I put at the end of the email I sent to sent it to Jaime and a few of the other guys like Ryan and stuff at Pixologic, and I said, look, I don't blame you if you have nothing ever to do with me. I said, that's not the reason why I'm sending this. Well, the reason why I'm sending it is because it's something I've got to do. And I did. And I honestly expected an email back, to be honest. If I'm being fairly honest, and I think I said the same thing to Ryan last year. I said, you know, at the time I did expect you to just basically tell me to piss off. You know, I said I was gobsmacked when I got an email, you know, that didn't. And basically I think it was Ryan that said, well look, I tell you what, we'll pretend it never happened. Everybody's allowed sort of, you know, one bad mistake in their life sort of thing. And we'll start over. But would, you know, they didn't really want me getting support from Pixologic and suddenly run off like 6 months later and doing a shed load of ones for Mudbox and everybody else and rival programs, you know. I'd always never try to mention Mudbox and ZBrush in the same sentence because it always causes bloody problems. Well, I think I'm allowed to, you know what I mean? I'm only one of only 2 guys that's ever released DVDs for both, you know. So I think it gives me some sort of right, whether you like it or not. But yeah, it's I said, look, you've created a program that I like. This is what I need. This works how I think. It works exactly how I wanted to do. So I'm not about to run to another program. So there won't be any more Mudbox DVDs from Wayne Robson. That's it. I'm not going to jump shit when version 2 of Autodesk Mudbox comes out from this bloody great big behemoth. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm here as a teacher. I see myself no different to a maths teacher or a lecturer at college, you know, at university. I'm here to try and get knowledge from this head into your head so you can make the best use of it. I'm not here to become famous. I don't want to be famous. I just want people to, you know, go out, buy the discs, and if they like it, yeah, say so. If you don't like it, yeah, also say so, because if you tell me what you don't like in one of my discs, I can make sure I change that in the next one. Now, if you say nothing, it's not going to change. So next time you buy one, it'll have the same problem. So if you say, well, I don't really like the way you did so-and-so, I'd rather you didn't rely on this brush as much because it's, you know, my machine's a bit slower, and, you know, if you give me the information, I can deal with it. I've been around long enough to be able to alter the workflow at regular times. But yeah, so that's the way that is, you know. They don't have a problem with it. They've been very nice with it, and they've forgiven and forget, you know. They buried the hatchet, and not in my head, as some people have been sending emails saying. Which I do get splitting headaches, but there's nothing to do with axis, you know. I think people notice I'm starting to lose the hair, you see, losing the hair a bit. Worry, you know. Too many polygons. Which is easy to put hair in your head as it is to put it on a ZBrush model, isn't it? You just say, hey, slash brush, a few more hairs. But anyway, I'm digressing. So basically what I'm trying to say to all you people who've been on my case and emails for the past 6 to 8 months, if Pixologic are prepared to forgive and forget and, you know, chalk it up to one man, me, making a very bad mistake when they made the bloody program, I'm sure as hell you can as well. If you don't, effectively that's showing no respect for their sort of sense of judgment. It's also shown very little respect, to be honest. I must be the only guy, at the risk of sounding like a martyr, who releases DVDs that gets the sheer amount of shite that I do. And it doesn't register anymore, to be honest, but it would be nice just occasionally if somebody said, you know, I got your DVD, I enjoyed it, or I got your DVD, didn't enjoy it because of this, this and this. Then I can say, yeah, great, I'll go and change that on the next one then, because there will be more. Nothing you can do will stop me releasing DVDs. They will be released as long as I have breath in me and enough things to tell you. Simple as that. If you think that I'm here as some sort of self-promotion trip, no, I'm not. Also, before somebody sends me an email, the reason I do the Waynecast, as I explained in the first one, is not for some attempt at fame and fortune on YouTube, because that's, you know, I'm a bit old for that sort of thing. It's actually just to keep in touch with people I know. I know I can probably, there's about 20 people view these, right? You know, at any given moment. I've got my mate John, 2 Johns actually, John in Norway, John in Scotland, they always watch it. Ryan Pixologic watches them, you know, whenever he's got 5 minutes. You know, I can go through my list of people that's on MSN, on Skype, etc. I know who's watching them. There's about sort of 5 or 7 people I can't account for, and one of them I know is one of the people sending these emails. Hence why these 2 have been this centric with this. I do apologise for having to go into all this crap, to be honest. So I hope that you haven't bothered to watch all the way through it if you're not really interested, because that'd be boring, wouldn't it? But we'll be getting back to normal next week, I promise you. So try and support some threads. Be nice. But look, I'm a nice guy, right? I might be a bit outgoing, but that's the side effect, as I said, of being a performer. If I come across as brash, it's because I'm from the northeast of England. And this may come as a surprise to some of you, but there are 3D artists outside of America. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? There's actually 3D artists outside of America. There you go. We do have like, some different accents, and we all, you know, behave in different ways. Great. I'm me. I'm not going to change. You like it? My name's Wayne Robson. If you haven't, it's something else. Bye bye.